Hello everyone, my name is David. Today we are going to take a look at another horrible case with you. But before we move forward, if you've ever had a horror incident in your life, you can share it with us via the email given in the description box or the pinned comment. Your story might soon be featured on our new channel. The year was 2017. In India's capital, Delhi, there lived a family named Mehra. This family resided in Rohini Sector 15. In this family, 35-year-old Pankaj Mehra lived with his 34-year-old wife, Priya Mehra, and their 2-year-old son. Their child's name was Naish. Pankaj Mehra and Priya Mehra had known each other since their college days. They had been very close friends since then, but over time that friendship gradually turned into love. After completing college, they got married in a love marriage. After their wedding, both of them were very happy, and their joy doubled when Priya gave birth to twin daughters. However, shortly after giving birth, for some reason, both daughters passed away. It was after this tragic loss that Priya gave birth to their son, Naish. One night on October the 24th, 2017, Pankaj called his wife Priya Mehra and asked her to come to his restaurant. Pankaj actually owned a restaurant and had invited Priya there. He also told her that they would have dinner outside that night and then go for a long drive. And after the long drive, they would visit a gurdwara to pay their respects. A gurdwara is a place of worship and gathering in the Sikh religion. The word generally means the place of the Guru or home of Guru. Sikh gurdwaras are also referred to as Gurdwara Sahib. Hearing this plan, Priya Mehra was very happy. After a while, she reached the restaurant with their 2-year-old son. Around 11:30 p.m., they had dinner. After dinner, they got into their Maruti Ritz car and headed out for a long drive. Priya's son was asleep in her lap inside the car while the couple listened to music and chatted. Pankaj drove from 12 a.m. until about 2:30 a.m. After that, they went to Gurudwara Bangla Sahib. Located in Delhi, Gurudwara Bangla Sahib is one of the most prominent Sikh gurdwaras in India. Pankaj and Priya spent an hour there, and then at 4 a.m. on October 25th, 2017, they started heading back home. Pankaj was driving the car while his wife and son were asleep in the vehicle because they hadn't slept all night. At that time, it was 4 a.m., very dark outside, and the area around them was deserted. Their home was now quite close. After a while, near the Hyderpur metro station in Delhi and just before the Rohini prison complex, Pankaj took a U-turn. While making this U-turn, something happened that forced Pankaj to turn his car toward the nearest hospital. On the way to the nearest hospital, Pankaj also called the police at 4:20 a.m. Within a short time, he reached the hospital, which was located at Mukarba Chowk. The hospital was called Saroj Hospital. Pankaj also called their families and informed them about the accident. Hearing the news, both families became extremely worried and reached the hospital shortly afterward. When Pankaj brought Priya to the hospital in an injured state, no doctor came forward to attend to her. The doctors told Pankaj that they couldn't do anything until the police arrived at the hospital. This angered the family members, and they began creating a commotion inside the hospital. After some time, the police also arrived at the hospital, but even after the police reached, no doctor came forward to treat Priya. In fact, there were no doctors available for the night shift. Because of all these reasons, Priya Mehra passed away, and her family was left deeply heartbroken. The police were also present there at that time. In this case, the police had only one witness, and that witness was none other than Pankaj Mehra himself. Afterward, Pankaj Mehra called the media to the hospital as well, and the police then questioned Pankaj to find out more about the incident. Pankaj Mehra told the police that on October 25th, 2017, at 4 a.m., he was returning home with his family from Gurudwara Bangla Sahib, and he was driving the car. His wife and child were sitting in the passenger seat next to him. Pankaj then told the police that while driving, he took a U-turn, and to make that U-turn, He slowed down the car a bit. At that moment, a red-color Maruti Swift car suddenly came speeding from behind, overtook their vehicle, and stopped right in front of them. A man got out of that car and he looked extremely angry. He also had a pistol in his hand and started walking slowly toward their car. When he reached their vehicle, he began trying to open the driver's side door. Seeing all this, Pankaj got very scared. However, Pankaj had locked the driver's side door from inside so the man couldn't open it. Then the man tried to break the car window with his pistol, and after that he punched the window and shattered it. The sound woke up Pankaj Mehra's wife and child. The man then pointed the gun at Pankaj Mehra's forehead, and seeing the weapon, Priya Mehra became extremely frightened. Pankaj tried to resist and grab the man's gun, struggling to take it from him. During the struggle, the man fired a shot, and the bullet hit Priya Mehra in the throat. Then the man fired a second shot, and this one hit Priya on the forehead, near her eye. However, when he tried to fire a third time, the bullet got stuck in the gun. After that, the man also physically fought with Pankaj, and then he fled the scene shortly after. Once the media arrived, the incident became public knowledge.
A 30-year-old woman was shot dead in her car by unknown criminals in Delhi's Shalimar Bagh area, where the victim was traveling along with her husband and her son.
After Priya Mehra's post-mortem, the police learned from the report that bullets had hit her throat and near her eye. Other than those bullet wounds, there were no other injuries found on her body. After hearing about the incident, the police asked Pankaj Mehra if he had any enemies or suspected anyone who might have done this. In response, Pankaj told them that he had initially started a clothing business, but it wasn't very successful, so he decided to open a restaurant. In the beginning, the restaurant business did quite well, but gradually it started going into loss. Eventually, the business was on the verge of collapse, and that's when he had to borrow money from a few moneylenders. In fact, in the neighboring state of Haryana, there's the city of Sonipat, which is known for large-scale bicycle manufacturing. Some moneylenders lived there who used to lend money to anyone at high interest rates. Pankaj somehow came into contact with some moneylenders and borrowed 500,000 rupees from them at a high interest rate. He invested that money into his business, thinking it would generate an equal return. However, even that money couldn't save Pankaj's business, and as a result, he couldn't repay the moneylenders. Because of this, the interest kept increasing, and the total amount rose to 4 million Indian rupees. Now, the moneylenders wanted their money back, but Pankaj was in no position to repay them. The moneylenders started threatening Pankaj, saying they wanted their money back, or else they'd take drastic steps. In fact, at the beginning of October 2017, 2 of those moneylenders even showed up at Pankaj's house. Although they didn't find Pankaj at home, they told his family to inform him that he should return the money or things would get ugly. That's why, after Priya's murder, Pankaj's first suspicion was directed toward those moneylenders from whom he had borrowed the money. Additionally, the red Swift car used by the attackers had a Haryana license plate. Pankaj also told the police that the attackers had probably come to kill him, but during the scuffle and struggle for the gun, 2 bullets ended up hitting Priya. He further told the police that a third bullet was also fired, but it got stuck in the gun. Because of all this, Pankaj pointed suspicion at those 3 moneylenders and gave their names to the police. Delhi police then went to Sonipat city in Haryana to search for them. However, it seemed the moneylenders had found out that the man they had lent money to was now being connected to his wife's murder, and the blame was falling on them. In fact, Pankaj was giving all his statements to news channels, and the moneylenders had probably seen those broadcasts. Because of that, despite a thorough search, the police couldn't find any of them. The police even checked how many vehicles with Haryana license plates had passed through the toll plazas between Haryana and Delhi, but they didn't have any success there either. Meanwhile, on the morning of October the 26th, Pankaj got Priya Mehra's post-mortem done, and by afternoon her last rites were completed. But soon after, the investigator handling the case began to question something. If those moneylenders had loaned money to Pankaj, why would they try to kill him? After all, if someone lends money to another person, why would they intentionally harm them? The truth is, if anything were to happen to him, not only would they lose their money, but they'd also face legal consequences. That's why the police believed that while the moneylenders might have come to threaten or intimidate Pankaj, it didn't make sense for them to try to kill him. So the police started to believe that Pankaj might have misunderstood, and that the attackers weren't the moneylenders, but rather some robbers. Between 1 to 4 a.m., the streets are usually prowled by thieves or robbers, so it was a very plausible angle that a gang of robbers may have overtaken Pankaj's car and tried to rob them. The police began investigating this angle as well, and their first step was to talk to the staff at Saro Hospital, since they were the first to see Priya's body. However, according to the hospital staff, when Priya was brought in, none of her valuables or cash from her purse were missing. Also, when Pankaj brought the car to the hospital, Priya's cell phone and her purse were still inside the vehicle. By now, several teams had been formed by the Delhi police to solve the case. While one team was searching for those moneylenders, another team was assigned the task of reviewing the footage from all CCTV cameras located along the route taken by Pankaj and Priya on the morning of October 25th. During this time, one team of police officers took Pankaj Mehra to the crime scene where Priya Mehra had been shot. There, the police also spoke to some shopkeepers and local residents along that road. Some of them claimed they had heard gunshots along with the scream of a man, but none had actually witnessed the incident. After this, the police collected footage from all cameras installed in the surrounding area. Around 4 a.m. on the morning of October the 25th, the police began reviewing CCTV footage according to the timeline. Unfortunately, not a single camera was positioned at an angle that captured the crime taking place. Following this, the police decided to recreate the entire crime scene with Pankaj, because recreating a crime can often help in better understanding and solving it. On the morning of October 26th, the police began their investigation with Pankaj starting from Bangla Sahib Gurudwara. During this, the police paid close attention to small details, such as which routes Pankaj took in his car, the speed of his vehicle, and the places he stopped along the way. But even here, the police didn't uncover anything significant. Afterward, the police checked Pankaj Mehra's call detail records and also spoke with his and Priya's family members. During these conversations, they learned some things about Pankaj's personal life. For example, Priya's parents revealed that the relationship between the couple wasn't good, and they often argued over small matters. The police then tried to understand what these arguments were about. They were told that Pankaj usually closed his restaurant around 12 a.m., but despite that, he often didn't come home at night. During this time, Priya began to suspect that her husband, Pankaj, was having an affair with another woman. And this suspicion turned out to be true, as Pankaj was indeed having an affair with Aisha, a singer who performed at his restaurant even after getting married. The police confirmed this through Pankaj's call detail records, which showed that he would often talk to Aisha for hours. Eventually, Priya also became aware of this, and the arguments between them became more frequent and intense. Over time, these arguments escalated and sometimes even turned into full-blown fights. Despite all this, Priya never openly discussed these matters with anyone, not even her own parents. But when Pankaj still didn't change his behavior, Priya once left the house with some of her belongings and went to stay with her parents. Meanwhile, the other police team assigned to recreate the entire crime scene was diligently working on their task. Finally, their efforts paid off. They discovered a CCTV camera that had captured the entire scene of Priya Mehra's murder. This camera was installed at a medical store located a short distance away from the crime scene. Based on the location Pankaj had mentioned, the police requested the footage from around 4 a.m. on October 25th from the shop owner. After receiving it, the Delhi police handed it over to their technical analysis team for a thorough examination. Now, here, the police didn't have to struggle much because the U-turn road was clearly captured in that CCTV camera. Besides that, the police also spotted Pankaj Mehra's Maruti Ritz car, and when they started watching every second of that footage closely, they uncovered the truth. In the CCTV footage, it showed that Pankaj was driving his car toward the U-turn. But just before taking the U-turn, he stopped his car right in the middle of the road. The car remained parked there for 1 minute and 40 seconds, around 100 seconds, and after that, Pankaj drove the car away from the spot. Although the police watched the footage from before and after that scene dozens of times, no other car appeared in the footage, except Pankaj's. The CCTV footage only showed that Pankaj's Maruti Ritz stood in the middle of the road for a few seconds, and then Pankaj himself drove it away. By now, the police had confirmed that before and after Pankaj's car, no other vehicle passed through that road. However, in his statement, Pankaj claimed that a red-colored car with a Haryana license plate had overtaken his vehicle. But the police had reviewed the CCTV footage multiple times and couldn't find any vehicle overtaking Pankaj's car. The CCTV footage was now revealing a version of events completely opposite to what Pankaj had stated. Now the question was, why did Pankaj stop his car before the U-turn on his own? And why did he give a false statement to the police? To uncover the truth, the Shalimar Bagh police called Pankaj Mehra to the police station on the afternoon of October the 26th. Pankaj believed the police were summoning him for a routine inquiry, and so he reached the station shortly after receiving the call. But the police's very first question to Pankaj was direct. Why did you lie to us? You were the one who stopped your car before the U-turn, not some swift car that overtook you. Still, Pankaj stuck to his story. In fact, Pankaj was trying to convince the police that his car really had been overtaken by a red Swift, and that a man had gotten out of it and shot his wife dead. But this time, the police showed Pankaj a footage they had obtained from a medical store, which showed him stopping his own car on the road. Seeing this, Pankaj Mehra panicked, and then, crying in front of the police, he confessed that he was the one who murdered his wife, Priya.
Police say he confessed to the crime during sustained interrogation.
After thorough interrogation, that he has killed his wife. We are further verifying those facts according to his confession.
But even after that, the police had one more question for him. Why did he commit such a heinous act against his wife, Priya? What was the reason behind killing her? After being asked this, Pankaj told the police the entire story behind why he killed Priya. Originally, Pankaj had a clothing business, but investing in it turned out to be a major loss for him. After that, Pankaj kept thinking of new ideas and eventually decided to open a coffee cafe or a restaurant. Finally, he found a good location near his house and decided to open a nice restaurant there. But Pankaj didn't have enough money to set up the restaurant, so he asked his in-laws, Priya's parents, for help. Priya's father agreed to give Pankaj the money because he had full faith in him. He also believed that life always gives everyone a second chance, and Pankaj would get one too. But Pankaj's bad luck continued, and even that business didn't run properly. From the beginning, there were very few customers. To increase the number of regular and repeat customers at their restaurant, Priya gave Pankaj a suggestion. She told him that they should provide live music for their customers and hire a singer for it. This would completely change the vibe of the restaurant and give customers a new kind of experience along with their food. Pankaj really liked Priya's idea, and he began searching for a singer who could perform live songs. During this time, Pankaj came across a female singer named Aisha. Aisha was also struggling in her own life, so her fee wasn't very high. This made her a good fit for Pankaj's restaurant budget. But even Aisha couldn't save Pankaj's sinking business, and despite the live singing, the customer base barely grew. Soon, Pankaj started running out of money, and to keep his business afloat, he borrowed 500,000 Indian rupees from 3 people who lived in Sonipat, a city in the neighboring state of Haryana. But Pankaj had taken this money from people who lend at high interest rates for a limited time. In US dollars, this amount was approximately $5,850, which means, even here, Pankaj had taken a big risk where he had to return the 500,000 rupees in a short amount of time, or else the interest would skyrocket as time passed. Holding on to one last hope in his heart, Pankaj invested that 500,000 rupees into his business. Time passed, but the returns on Pankaj's investment were extremely low. As a result, the interest on the 500,000 rupees loan had climbed up to 4 million rupees, so essentially the $5,850 that Pankaj had borrowed had now ballooned to about $46,750. Over time, the moneylenders also began asking for their money back. Pankaj kept telling them that he would repay their money slowly and that they shouldn't worry. But eventually, those men even came to Pankaj's house and caused a scene. At this point, Pankaj was completely buried under debt. But amidst all of this, he began having an affair with Ayesha, the singer who performed at his restaurant. What's shocking is that by this time, Pankaj Mehra already had a son. His career was in decline. Both of his businesses had failed, and he was under pressure to repay his debts. Yet, putting all of that aside, the Pankaj began an extramarital affair with Ayesha. With this, according to Priya's parents, he had already had around 6 girlfriends. Now, technically, if Pankaj had wanted to, he could have divorced Priya and married someone else. But he didn't. The reason Pankaj couldn't do that was because Priya's parents had supported him financially during his tough times. So, if Pankaj had tried to divorce Priya, he would have had to repay the 400,000 rupees he had borrowed from her parents, and at that point, Pankaj was in no condition to return that money. That's when a sinister idea crossed his mind. If Priya was out of the way, he could finally live his life freely. He started thinking about when and how he could kill Priya. That's when the idea came to him. He would kill Priya late at night in the car under the pretense of a long drive, and then put the blame for her murder entirely on the moneylenders. Actually, everyone knew that the moneylenders were threatening Pankaj and his family, which is why, in everyone's eyes, the moneylenders would be considered guilty. If Pankaj had successfully murdered Priya, he wouldn't have had to repay the money he borrowed for Priya's parents. In other words, Pankaj wanted to hit 3 targets with 1 arrow. With this plan, his wife would be out of his way, and he could be with Ayesha whenever he wanted. The second benefit for Pankaj was that after Priya's death, he wouldn't have to repay her family, and if he succeeded with this plan, he would also get rid of those moneylenders. After this, Pankaj Mehra began plotting the complete conspiracy to murder his wife, Priya Mehra. Once Pankaj had made the full plan for the murder, the first thing he did was buy a pistol from a friend named Monu. After that, Pankaj scouted several places around his house, looking for a location without any CCTV cameras. During this search, Pankaj noticed the U-turn road near Hyderpur metro station, and he was already quite familiar with that route. Then Pankaj Mehra also set the timing for Priya's murder. What happened after that you already know, like Pankaj taking Priya on a long drive and then visiting the Gurdwara. After that, he created a fake story of the murder, claiming that a red Swift car overtook them, and one of the men got out and started firing at them with a pistol. But the only part of Pankaj's statement that was true was that, at the time, his wife, Priya, and their son were asleep in the car. Taking advantage of that moment, Pankaj pulled out the pistol and shot his wife twice, then broke his own car's window. To make his story seem more real, Pankaj added the element that the third bullet jammed inside the attacker's gun. So, from the beginning, the only lie in Pankaj's story to the police was that someone else had shot Priya, when in reality it was all done by him. Anyway, after hearing all of this, the police officially arrested Pankaj, and the case was wrapped up within just 36 hours. After that, the police presented Pankaj in district court and took him into judicial custody. Then the police started properly documenting his statements and gathering evidence. However, the most crucial piece of evidence was the pistol Pankaj had used to murder Priya. During interrogation, Pankaj told the police that he had thrown the pistol away on the way. The police searched thoroughly at the location Pankaj mentioned, but to this day that pistol has never been found. Still, to identify others involved and collect more evidence, the police assigned 11 different teams to the case. One of those police teams managed to catch Monu, the person who helped Pankaj get the pistol. Another police team also found Aisha, the singer who used to perform at Pankaj's restaurant, and presented her in court. It was then revealed that Pankaj and Aisha were genuinely in love and wanted to get married, but the court hearing also made it clear that Aisha had no idea Pankaj would go as far as to murder his wife, Priya Mehra, for her. Because of his debts and extramarital affair, Pankaj Mehra destroyed both Priya's life and his own, and along with that, he also took away a lot of happiness from the life of his 2-year-old son, who at that time couldn't even speak properly. But what's even more shocking is that when the child's mother was murdered, he was the only eyewitness to her murder and he was just 2 years old. As of now, Priya's son lives with his maternal grandparents and uncle-aunt. They all still take very good care of him. But Priya's parents still want the harshest punishment possible for their daughter's killer, either the death penalty or life imprisonment. So if there's any new update in this case in the future, we'll definitely share it with you through a community post on the David True Crime channel. So with that, the Priya Mehra murder case comes to an end right here. If you appreciate our efforts, like and share this video. If you haven't subscribed, do so now. Thank you.